Thanks, Prakash. Really look forward to the updates coming in from that cabinet meeting. But from the MPC meeting, the takeaway was that it's a pause coming in for the rates, and the biggest impact really is on the real estate sector, because that was seeing the beating when it comes to the affordability getting impacted with the rate hikes coming into the tune of 250 basis points in the last 11 months alone. Let's discuss the impact with Mr. M. Murli, Chairman and Managing Director at Shriram Properties, and we also have Mr. Abhishek Kapoor, the CEO at Puravankara Limited, joining us to talk to us about the same. Abhishek, let me begin with you and ask you, there was this worry, which has started coming in, that the interest for home sales has plateaued a tad bit, and people are sitting on the sidelines and waiting, given the rate hikes that we had seen recently. Do you believe that this rate pause is going to provide a big fillip to demand going forward?
Thank you, Anisha, for having me on the show. We have not seen any slowdown really as far as the demand is concerned. The numbers have been continuing to grow as they have been in last few quarters, and these are published numbers, and I'm sure you're hearing all the reports. And on the ground, what we see is there is no impact on the demand. Yes, there was a bit of a concern that should it increase the repo rate, there may have been some kind of a sentiment impact. But this has been good news for the sector. RBI has been extremely nimble, and the government has been extremely nimble in the response to the environment. I think one of the biggest concern was the exchange rate and what's happening in the West. Keeping that in mind and the Indian economy in mind, I think they've taken a fantastic decision of pausing and waiting and watching. And I think this is going to be very, very good for the industry.
Right. I want to bring up this point that, despite the fact, despite the rising interest rate scenario, we did see the premium category or the big ticket sales really boom, during this period. And now with the rate pause, where does the demand stand there? And also tell us about the demand in the affordable housing category after the repo rate pause.
Look, we have seen consistent demand in both the categories. Really, if you look at affordable housing per se, the definition itself is actually below 35 lakhs. There aren't a large number of developers operating in that category. Most of the developers are operating in the category which is between 35 and 80 lakhs, and that's a mid-income category. If you look at the demand at the ground level, there has been no impact. In fact, if you look at the consolidation that's been going on, the organized and structured listed players have taken a lot more market share in the process, and therefore you're seeing a skew in the growth of these players compared to others. But overall, I can clearly see that there is no impact on demand across luxury and mid segment at this point in time.
Mr. Murli also into the discussion. Mr. Murli, do you echo the view? Did you also not see any sort of plateauing of demand or any kind of slowdown?
Absolutely. There has been a great demand for the last 2 years, and I expect this demand to continue for at least next 3 to 5 years time. Government has been doing quite a lot of positive things. Yes, last year the increase in home loan rate interest was probably could have been avoided, but it has not created any dent on the demand. Demand continues to grow just because of the consolidation which has happened in the marketplace, as my colleague Abhishek said. So it's the market has gone through a serious consolidation. Every micro market, there are only about 8 to 10 players today having market share over 90%, whereas supply is growing further and further. Demand has been growing further and further. Supply has been shrinking very regularly, which has created a good demand in affordable housing, mid-market segment, also in luxury segment to a large extent. So now this RBI monetary policy today, pausing this repo rate increase, is another feather in the cap today, which is going to help the banks to remain very competitive on home loans, which will probably push the buyers to take decisions much more faster today. So we are very, very positive and thank the government for whatever they have done now. And the government has been actively supporting the business enterprises today or the consumers today, a much better way to shape up the economy overall.
Mr. Murli, what about your expansion plans? Because the much I understand you are largely in the mid-income category and have a strong presence when it comes to Bangalore as well as Chennai. But what about going forward? What kind of pipeline do you have with geographies?
As you know that we have got next 3 years of growth plan, which is coming from the current markets, Bangalore, Chennai and Calcutta. We have got a good pipeline of projects today, which can cater to the, which can meet this demand what the organization has set out for the next 3 years time. Having said that, we are expanding into Hyderabad and Pune this year, so that will add further additional volume to our overall growth. So overall, the industry is looking very positive, particularly in the mid-market and affordable housing segment. Demand has been really good, and as an organization, we have been growing consistently very well. And next 3 years growth has been, growth is expected to be phenomenally good for us. And the new market expansion also will help us, surpass the growth target what we looked at overall.
Right. Abhishek, I have to ask you this question since you're with us, and you, of course, also have a very strong presence when it comes to Bengaluru. And we've all been reading the headlines how the rentals have actually doubled. There is a bit of a supply crunch. There is a lot of people coming back to work, and perhaps that's led to a bit of a demand spike as well. You're reading on the ground, and do you believe this is transient, or there is a fundamental strength that you're seeing at the underlying level as well?
Look, I think one of the biggest thing that we need to look at is what's the supply overhang. If you look at the ready-to-move-in inventory, it's completely finished. There is no ready-to-move-in inventory available in the market. And whatever is available is under construction, and that supply is obviously not enough to meet the demand currently that's there in the market. Therefore, people who need to move in spaces or shift into move back into Bangalore or any of the other regions. We are present in 9 cities today. We are seeing rentals go up across all markets. What it means really from the residential real estate point of view is that the arbitrage between the rent and interest rates is going much, much lesser. And with the price appreciation that's happening, customers or people are looking at really buying and instead of renting, they're looking at owning. But in the interim, while they get possession of their apartment, they still need to rent. And hence, you will continue to see this demand-supply gap where people are moving into rental properties and the rental prices are going up. And this is not just in Bangalore, this is cutting across all of the country.
Okay, Abhishek, I'll come back to you, but I have a question related to Mr. Murli's organization as well. Sir, recently 2 private equity players, namely Walton Street Capital and Starwood Capital, have exited by selling almost 14% stake in your company. Could you tell us which are the new investors that have come on board, and what was the reason of the exit? Any interactions you've had with them?
I will take this opportunity to thank Walton Street Capital and Starwood Capital. They are our early investors from the US. They have been supporting us, guiding us the growth path for the last several years, and they've played a very significant role in shaping up the culture of the organization and what we have become today. And as you know that every private equity has a timeline and as well as their own compulsions in their native market and opportunities what they get in the native market. Hence, I think they were looking for exit. And we would like to welcome, I would like to take this opportunity again to welcome our new investor partner. Aurum is the company, and they have invested, they picked up 14.27% from Walton Street and Starwood Capital. I would like to work with a new partner and take their guidance and continue the growth path and culture of this organization and focus further to strengthen and deepen the market penetration across the regions where we operate. I'm sure the new relationship will also help us, like Walton Street and Starwood Capital, they have helped us in holding our hands in shaping up this organization growth for the next several years.
So Murli, Abhishek, just quickly coming to you because we have to wrap up the conversation. Wanted to understand from you that you're looking at raising further funds for expansion as well. What could be the size of that fundraise, if at all, and what kind of revenue potential do you envisage for the company in FY24?
Look, what I can share with you is we are in talks for platforms for both our plotted and residential development at this point in time. And we have already raised an AIF last year. And we are expecting to deploy all of this capital during the current financial year, which is starting this April. And from launch and sales point of view, we are expecting to launch about 14 million square foot in this financial year. And of course, you can do the math as we don't give forward-looking statements, but I think we are looking very, very positive in terms of growth numbers. And we believe that this year will be a inflection point for us as a business in terms of the scale that we try and achieve. So really looking forward to the current financial year.
So just a word on the fundraise. Is it going to be via some stake sale at the company level, or is it going to be at the asset level?
No, we are looking at platform transactions where we bring in our share of capital, and of course, we get somebody to participate with us, in terms of the platform. And then under the platform, we look at new acquisitions.
Mr. Kapoor and Mr. Murli, thank you so much for joining us today. And with that, it's time for us to slip into a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.